difference between purity and impurity Kabbalistically. The word in Hebrew for impurity, tum'ah, comes from the word timtum, which means stupidity. Purity in Hebrew, ta'ara, comes from the word shining, te'iru. So impurity relates to a level of stupid consciousness. Ta'ara, purity, represents clarity, an open heart, an open mind, understanding, certainty. Moments of clarity when everything makes absolute sense. How do you move towards tahara, towards te'iru, brightness and clarity? A person takes upon himself throughout our life levels of tum'ah, levels of confusion, levels of impurity. But if we had to ask or focus on what is the greatest reason why we are confused and doubt and fear and experience darkness and being closed, what is the real root? The Kabbalists teach that the root, avi avot atum'ah, the real root is the concept of death. You talk to people, even on the most basic level, why are you not spiritual? Why don't you believe in a creator? The real reason, the root of all lack of connection, of consciousness, is the fact that a person sees, well, death happens. There's life, which we all quote unquote see, and then it ends. At the root of all lack of clarity is the fact that we live in a world that is imbued with the concept of death. Of course, at its ultimate level, God forbid, somebody sees someone that they know leave this physical world, that within itself brings a level of timtum, a level of lack of clarity, of closing of the heart and the mind. For some people, it's so extreme that they have zero connection to the light of the Creator, to even the potential possibility of the light of the Creator because of it. And for the rest of us, let's be very clear, no matter how spiritual you are, the fact that you and I, unfortunately, live in a world that death, physical death, occurs, that is the cause of any and all of our residual continuing lack of clarity, lack of certainty. That's physical death. On a deeper level, what is the spiritual tum'at met? What is the spiritual impurity of death? It's the fact that the person thinks that he or she is disconnected from the source of life. That's death. If you had certainty, if you had consciousness all the time, that you are connected, if you would experience every second of your life, I am connected to the source of life, you're living a different life. How can there be sadness? How can there be doubts? How can there be any confusion? I'm connected to the source of all life. But when does doubt and timtum, that tum'ah, that opposite of consciousness, enter? When you don't feel and know that you are connected to the source of life. Your consciousness influences your experience. So if in your mind you're not connected to the source of life, your experience will be that you're not connected to the source of life. It's an effect of the world of death within which we live, unfortunately. Still, it's a constant reality. If you're ever unhappy, if you're ever disappointed, if you're ever sad, if you're ever fearful, if you ever have any doubt, obviously, what's happening in that moment? Either consciously or unconsciously, you're in a state of, I'm not connected with the source of light. Because if I was connected with the source of all life, what worry can there be? What doubt can be about that? I'm connected to the source of life. Obviously, we are all overwhelmed by this tum'at met, by this consciousness of being disconnected from the source of life. Therefore, so much of our even spiritual work is a struggle. There used to be Kabbalists who, by reading one letter of the Zohar, were able to create miracles, were able to change everything. For most of us, it doesn't happen all the time. Why? Because everywhere you turn, there's a voice saying, you're dead. You're not connected to the force of life. Everywhere you go, there's a force, a weight of this world of death that is coming upon you saying, you're not connected to the source of life. It's not like you think you have a choice. No. This is a world of tum'at met. This is a world where everywhere you go, everywhere you sit, everywhere you are, there is that heaviness of death. There is that heaviness of you are, God forbid, not connected to the force of life. It's not a choice, it's the reality of this world. No wonder we live with so much fear and doubt and worry and sadness and darkness. It says that even 2,000 years ago, they would not even study if they wouldn't be able to remove from themselves the impurity of death, because they knew to try to drag into this world of death a real consciousness is so difficult. It's such a struggle. Why do we study, for example? It's not because we want only more information, because we need the tahara, the purity, meaning the shining consciousness that can come out of my connection to the Zohar from the teaching. When we use the same words the Kabbalists use, and that by itself is the tahara, is the purification, is the elevation from the consciousness of death, from the consciousness of being disconnected from the light of the Creator.
Enjoying this video, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Book now with me one-to-one session in angel coaching and communication coaching. To learn more, email or DM me. Enjoy the video.
There's a Kabbalist named Rabbi Bar Chana, and he tells a great story that is a teaching, a tool to break away from the struggle with doubt and fear and being disconnected from the source of life. He was traveling on a boat till he saw sand, but he didn't realize there was a big sea creature that was resting under the sand. He had been there. So that creature was there for so long, he said, that there were also green grass growing on top of this sea creature. So he assumed, he said, that it was land. So he left his boat, he stepped on what he thought was land, and he started cooking. It got so hot that the sea creature was obviously annoyed with the heat coming from his cooking. And he flipped him over, and he said if his boat wasn't so close to him, he would have drowned in the sea. Interesting story. What's the secret? So Rabbi Bar Chana is telling us there are two ways to be in this world. The ocean represents the totality of our world. The fake sand, the real fish, represents a way to live in this world. Unfortunately, as an effect of the tum'at met, the false consciousness that prevails our world, we become part of this world. And we think, for example, where you're at right now. Do you have any doubt where you're at right now? No, I'm standing here or sitting on this floor. Everything is okay right now. God forbid, if there is an earthquake, I need to think about the Creator. But in this moment, I'm sitting on this chair or I'm standing on this land, nothing to worry about right now. Maybe in a minute, in an hour, something happens, then, oh, how do I connect? In this moment, no, because we are part of this world. What's stable is stable. If it's not stable, we'll deal with it spiritually, hopefully, but what's stable is stable. What Rabbi Bar Chana is telling us is the secret of how we are going to separate ourselves from the prevailing tum'at met, from the prevailing stupidity of lack of consciousness, of again, at the core, the source of the thought that I am at any point disconnected from the light of the Creator. The only way to have te'ir, clarity, constantly to live here, but do not be part of it. We want to live here. There's work for us to do in this world, but be a part of it, to base our living thought depending myself on this world. I'm depending myself on this floor or on the lawyer or on the accountant or whatever it is that is in this world, to the degree that that's where my stability comes from. I'm of this world. And to the degree that the individual is of this world, the tum'at met, the prevailing heaviness of death, has to touch them, has to. So this Kabbalist, Rav Bar Chana, reveals to us a great secret. He says, listen, I, like you, thought that I was standing on a firm ground. I found a place I was stable, where I can cook and I can live and I can eat. But what happened to me is, in that moment, why did he have to cook? Why didn't he say, he stood there and then he tilted him over? No, because the more he became part in, oh, I've been in the boat for so long, I really want to be in stable land, I found it, and he started to become more of it. I'll be cooking, I'm going to have a meal here. The more he became of this world, the more death was coming towards him. The Kabbalist, the Maharal, and also the Gaon of Vilna explained that the boat represents the Zohar. When he knew he needed the Zohar, and we should never be far away from the Zohar, from our boat, because if I know why, the only reason why I'm standing here on firm ground is not because this wood floor is strong, but the reason why a person feels is healthy because the doctor just told them that they're healthy, then they are of this world. But if I know that the only reason why I'm able to stand here for 1 second is because I have my saving boat next to me, the Zohar that represents our spiritual connection, the light of the Creator, that's why I'm able to stand here, and that's why I'm healthy, and that's why a person has sustenance. That's why everything is going as it should. Of course, the Zohar is a tool. Then a person is not living in this world. Then a person is living in the realm of the Zohar. A person is living in the light of the Creator. A person is actually living in his own connection with the light of the Creator, which is a constant connection to the source of life. But it has to be true. So we want to ask ourselves, how much are we of this world? And of course, this is hard and very, very difficult work, because even if what I'm saying is clear and a person is desiring and inspiring it, in a second it's going to go away. In a second you're going to close this video and you're going to become part of this world, and you're going to think, the reason I'm able to walk on the sidewalk is because somebody beautifully built the sidewalk for me to stand here, and the reason why I'm able to stand straight is because my doctor told me everything is fine. The more a person buys into the firmness of this world, to the stability of this world, the more he becomes part of this world. And now we know the effect of becoming more and more part of this world is tum'at met, is the prevailing weight of death. God forbid, physical death, and more importantly, spiritual death. Again, the thought, that comes in, I'm not connected to the light, to the source of everything in this moment. The only way out, says Rav Bar Chana, with the consciousness, the reason why I'm living, the reason why I have health, the reason why I have sustenance, the reason why I have blessings, is because of my connection to the light of the Creator, and I got to keep that close. What is close? Of course, it helps to have a Zohar physically close, but most importantly, consciously close. I am not stable because I'm of this world, of this floor. If you're honest, most of us think that's why we're stable. That's why everything is okay. No, the Kabbalists say we have to divorce ourselves. Ask yourself, where is my strongest buying into the stability of this world? Rav Bar Chana, he thought he was on a firm land. As a matter of fact, he almost died because it wasn't firm land. It was the opposite of it. The more he became certain that everything is fine here, and I can start cooking here and building a home here, the more death came for him. Not only physical death, but more importantly, spiritual death. The forgetting that I am connecting to the source of life. That's the only way out of tum'at met. It's the only way out of stupid opposite of consciousness.